we're with, you know how they do that little thing where Jerry Seinfeld gets people and to get them in the car and Jerry drives. Nah, see, I'm different, man. This is called Vince's Wheels. Now, after I leave the ride, Vince gonna have a few other people coming. Every week you should have a celebrity in your car, man.
You got a point there.
Yeah, you know what you should do? You know what you do? Like Jerry Seinfeld invites comedians and they all get their classic cars to ride in, right?
Right.
You should have Kansas City DJs ride in your car and interview them.
That's a good idea.
You know what I'm saying? Interview them.
That's a good idea.
You know who I'm like the first DJ to ride in Vince's car. I'm the first one to get an interview in here.
That is true.
You know who we should have next? I say the Black Houdini. The Black Houdini. I say dig, but you can't. You gotta have the Black Houdini first. That is Kansas City's first. Yes, Kansas City's magic on the ones and twos. Fresh, we calling you out. And you ain't got to do. Call Vince, call me, and get your interview in the classic. In the classic. It's called DJs Being Interviewed on Wheels. Fresh, you should be the next DJ sitting in this seat right here. This seat. Then after that, we're going to have either Dink. And when you come here, you got to tell your story.
Exactly.
Right? And I'm going to tell my story. We're going to go get some cookies first. Because I tell the story better with a few little sweets. Me and Buddha, we tell a good story when we got Buddha Fresh and got him tightened up. But we should have Fresh. Then we have Dig. You know who else we should have? Myron D.
That is true.
We got to have Myron D.
Myron D.
Yeah.
T-Roach.
T-Roach. Cool. Oh, we got to have the Cool. We got to have the Cool.
Yes.
But we got to put Cool in the back seat.
Okay.
Because, Cool got that old gray looking, I'm just cool.
That is it.
And when he's in here, you should play Morris Day in the Time. I'm so cool. But he'll sit in the back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. That would be, boy. And let's see, who else should we have? We should have So Much. We got to have So Much.
That is true.
So Much. Have him mix it in the back.
It's true.
Yeah.
Put some tables.
Some tables. And then we have DJ Hype. Gotta have Hype.
Yeah, Jock Banks.
Oh, you gotta have Hank. You gotta have dude. You gotta have Hank in here, man. You gotta have Hank.
I agree.
You gotta have Hank. Then we gotta get a female DJ. Say you know who we should have? You know what we should have? We should have treatment. DJ Zone. We should have DJ Zone. That's a female DJ. Yep.
There's some classic DJs that are around. I think her name is Victoria's Secrets.
Yeah. Now we're gonna post this, and and I'm gonna tag everybody I just mentioned, and then you need to call Vince. I ain't playing. Call him up. Inboxing, and then get in this seat right here. Just let it be known, DJ C-Style was the first one in this seat. In this seat getting the interview. Now I'm gonna come back. Then this is part one. After me and Buddha get some sweets, we're gonna come with part two. You got anything else to say, V?
I'm good.
Okay, all right. Going to get the cookies. Be right back.
See.
Hey, what's going on with you, V?
Well, I'm all right, man. What's up with you?
Oh, nothing much, man. I'm excited. Glad that I could be a part of your fantastic program that you got going on, my man.
Yeah.
I've been just excited watching all the things that you've been doing. It actually started with me. I started out as a stand-up comic. I actually was not a DJ per se. I just loved music. I started entertaining March 16th, 1984.
Oh boy.
At the tender age of 17 years old, I was ready to take on the world. You couldn't tell me nothing.
For sure.
I was the next Eddie Murphy. I was inspiring Richard Pryor. And what's so funny is my favorite comedian now is David Chappelle. He wasn't even heard of when I started out doing comedy.
Right.
And because I loved music so much, the way I actually started out doing comedy is really strange. I actually started out because I was listening to a Richard Pryor album, but prior to actually listening to the album, I was thumbing through my dad's record collection, and I saw Richard Pryor sitting on the back of an album cover on a stool with a guitar in his hand.
Right.
So I had never heard of him as a artist. You know, back then I was into Parliament Funkadelics, Cameo, you know, that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking like, hey, who's the cat on the stool with a guitar? So, you know,
right.
I pulled the album out and throw it on, and it wasn't music. nothing like I had ever heard. You know,
Far from it.
far from it, man. So I started vibing to it, and I was already cutting up in class anyway. So when I heard this, I'm thinking, oh man, I'm going all out. So I go to school and repeat a few of the phrases from the Richard Pryor album, and of course got in trouble. And then I ended up getting suspended, so I had to stay home. And my dad was at work, so it was kind of funny because he took all his albums of Richard Pryor and put them up, so I could listen to him while he was gone. But then I, of course, listened to other music and loved it.
Right.
And then from that point, I still did stand-up comedy from '84, all up until I actually started listening to comedy when I was like in the 5th grade. I started doing stand-up. I was 17 all the way up until I want to say the year 2003 or something like that. I was still doing stand-up, and then I started running into DJs.
Okay.
Because we entertainers, we all kind of, that's our wheelhouse. We all hang out together.
Right.
And at that time, I actually ran into DJ D.
Okay.
And
Terry?
Of course,
Terry White.
Terry White, and we all know, he's one of the magical kings of DJs in Kansas City, Missouri, which is exactly, where I'm from.
That is true.
And one of the interesting things about him that I thought was remarkable is he was one of those types of DJs that he always knew how to engage with his crowd. Like if he knew you and you came to where he was DJing, he would shout you out.
Right.
And I thought that was so cool. I was like, man, he was like, hey, Coop, what's going on? I was like, loving it. So I ended up going back up in the booth with him. I started talking to him, and I started thinking to myself, man, you know what? I like this. I can do this. And he kind of was like, nah, man, you comedians, y'all always joking. You ain't really trying to do this. And I was like, yeah, I am. So ironically, just to show you how small our circle is, Gary Edwins, aka DJ Fresh.
DJ Fresh.
I actually knew Fresh, but I didn't know him as a DJ. I had played dominoes. I actually went to his church. I played dominoes with his dad all the time at the family functions and the church functions. So he had mentioned to me Gary Edwins, and he was just his son to me. And I didn't put two and two together because his dad has a strong Jamaican accent. So one time we was just talking, I don't know how we got into the conversation of music, and he said, yeah, my son, Gary Owens, DJ Fresh. And I was like, okay. So then when I actually met Fresh as a DJ, I was in awe. I was like, okay, I'm digging it. So we all, got together, and I started hanging out with them, and we were in the Midwest DJ Coalition. And that's when I met, I want to say the DJ of all DJs, man. That's when I met you, DJ B, Vincent Irving.
Word up.
And that was a chance encounter for me, because the crazy thing about you and I's history is we went to the same high school.
True.
Hung out with some of the same people.
True.
But I didn't know you.
That is true.
You was just, regular dude to me. I'd never seen you DJ, so I didn't put that together until I actually met you. And even the funny thing is, when I met you, you still wasn't DJing. You was doing video DJing, And so when they call that VJ, video job. Right. So when I met you, what was so funny to me was you walked up to me. I was actually DJing. It had us not try out, but we got a little small segment where we could play. And I was doing my little segment. And you walked up to me and you was like, hey man, you might want to turn your amps up so you get clean sound. And you just walked off. Right. And I was kind of like, So I was always taught to pay attention to the quiet person. The person who makes the most noise is generally the weakest cat in the room, Right. And I just kept, kind of peeping me out, but I was kind of like, I was in the midst of trying to DJ, and all my other DJ friends making fun of me because, to them I wasn't segueing right. I just wasn't doing what they thought I should do as a DJ. So
You was just green.
Yeah, I was green. I was smooth green. I was smooth green. So when I got into the business, technically, I wasn't DJ C Style at that point because I still had the nickname Nifty C.
Gotcha.
Which was my comedian name, which stood for Nifty Cooper. And I got that nickname because I went to a couple different high schools, but I particularly went to Center High School, which was predominantly white at that time.
Right.
And my white co-students, as you would say, my white friends were like, "Man, you're awful nifty, man. You're nifty," and it just stuck. Right. And when I went to Southwest, the same high school you and I went to, black folks was more like, black folks is cool, man, because they take a nickname and put a nickname on top of the nickname.
True.
They was calling me Thrifty Nickel, Nifty Seasum, and all kinds of stuff, man.
Right.
And so I kind of felt like, okay, this name is, you're talking 20, 30 years, man. People still call me that.
Right.
So I was kind of like, how can I get my identity separate from the comedy and the DJ?
Right.
So I initially had Nifty C Style, but it was just so long that most people, if I said it, when I set up the mic, all they heard was C Style.
Right.
So it stuck. And it was another one of them names that it stuck.
Right.
And when friends that knew me as Nifty, when they heard C Style, they was kind of a little stuck until they figure out, okay, so you don't do comedy no more, you just DJ.
Right.
And it was kind of one of them things where I'm not gonna be
arrogant.
I'm not gonna be arrogant and say that DJing chose me, but in certain little areas, because I still was doing comedy and I started DJing, and then my style was comedic on the ones and twos, and I started having fun with people, and then I opted the term or coined the phrase, we don't just DJ, we entertain. We don't play music, we don't just play music, we entertain.
Right.
And during that time, again, I had that encounter with you was when you and I started working together. When I first saw you and I thought, man, this is a cat I want to learn from, but it wasn't from the DJ style, it was just the way you carried yourself and the way that you were about the business side of this game.
Word up, appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. And I kept thinking to myself, like, man, I want to make a career out of this, because entertainment's always been my thing. But in the comedy side, I have been burned real bad in so many different ways that you start to learn this business the hard way. You know, they call it show business, but it be business show. And you better mind your business, or you ain't gonna get much show. You gonna get shows played out.
That is definitely true. So the birth of DJ C Style happened in 2003, correct?
Actually, it happened in 2000. Is actually when it took place. I had DJ for my former father-in-law.
Gotcha.
Passed away. God rest, may he rest in peace. And I was at an event, and a lady, she was working for, at that time, would have been Children's Mercy Hospital, and she was an elderly lady, so she couldn't hear Nifty C Style. She just kept calling. It goes back to black people just tagging the nickname on, and she just kept calling me C Style. So I just, let it rock with it. And that's the very first piece of music that I actually got and played. I was at my former father-in-law's birthday party, and I had played the song Whip Appeal by Babyface.
Right.
And that's when I realized that I was blessed with a gift, because I played the song, and for some reason or another, I can't remember exactly if I turned a certain way or if I can't remember, but for some reason or another, I accidentally hit the volume on the volume fader. And as I hit the volume fader, people were singing along with the song. So I continued to bring the music down. And then as they were singing, I started amping them up. Like, God, I hear y'all out there. Say what? And that's when it became euphoric for me. Like, oh man, this it's a feeling. It's kind of like if you have a favorite ice cream or some type of favorite food or a favorite girlfriend, a favorite song, and you have that feeling. I mean, that just feeling that you feel the tingling down your spine. That's what I felt, and that's when I knew that was year 2000, and I knew right then I'm not stopping this, man. I'm in it. I'm in it to win it.
And that's what stuck out to you. Along with that, why do you love DJing so much, or entertaining as well?
I love entertaining and DJing because first, my love of music. That's number one. Number two, when I was a little bitty kid, man, I'm talking 3 or 4 years old. My family members used to always say, "Man, you so clown, boy. You such a clown, boy. You so funny, boy. You straight entertainment. You straight entertainment." And so I felt like that's what my calling was. And so, you know, if you love what you do, it's not like work anymore. You know, I've heard that on commercials, but that is one of the truest and realest statements I've ever heard. And that's exactly how I feel. Favorite 2 experiences is when I actually DJ'd for the KC Roundup. It was the Bikers Roundup in 2007.
Right.
And what made that event so unique for me, I didn't DJ that event. I'm sorry, I did stand-up comedy.
Right.
But I actually worked with you.
Right. Oh, yes, you did.
And you had took the pictures and made the video for me. And that's what made that event so one of my favorites, because that's when I got to really know you on a friendship level. Because everything else I had kind of knew you just as a business person.
Right.
Or a colleague, so to speak. I didn't know you personally.
Right.
And when I worked with you, one of the things that was so unique to me, but really changed everything for me, the whole course of DJing, my whole entertainment career, is during that time, you and I had a conversation, and you had said, I had tried to DJ some events with you, and you had let me come in and sit for 10 minutes or so, but you had called me up one day, and you said, "Hey man, you really serious about this?" I said, "Yeah." You said, "Would you like to go to the DJ convention that they have every year out in New Jersey?"
Right.
Man, that changed everything for me.
Right.
It sealed a friendship that I can't even begin to tell you how solid that was. You ride in the car with somebody for a good 24 hours.
Indeed.
You get to know some things about them, and I didn't realize how much we thought alike. Our personalities are so different.
Right.
But what we thought about and how we thought, it was amazing for me. It was one of those moments like you've been waiting to go to the prom, and then you get to go and you're not disappointed.
Right. I agree.
So that's how that event was so special for me. Then my next event that really, I would say, it didn't change my career, but it was one of those moments that stood out, was when I DJ'd for the American Youth Cheer competition that they had out in Kissimmee, Florida, where, you know, I live in Tampa. But what made that event so special was because I'm from Kansas City, and I've DJ'd with a lot of DJs. I've helped jumpstart a lot of DJs' careers, and I don't mean that arrogantly. I mean that in a very good way, that I've taken some people that just had a conversation with me and said they wanted to do it, and then I put some equipment in their hand, and we just really did it, you know, and I'm very proud of that, because I remember how I felt when I was trying to get in the business, and everybody was just kind of playing me like, yeah, okay. You know?
Right. He green.
Yeah, he green. He telling jokes, man. We know you ain't really serious about this. You come back and see me when you're serious, man. By the way, while you're still trying to figure it out, grab these records and bring them in for me. Help me set up the equipment.
For sure.
But the reason why that event was so special, like I was saying, was because my wife, one of my DJs out here named Corey Smith, and of course her DJ name is DJ Daisy Red. We all went to that event together, and that event had over 10,000 people at it.
Wow.
And we all three of us worked that 3-day event. And had it not been, again, for you, my hat tips off to you, getting us connected with them through one of the advertising agencies, man, it was phenomenal. It was one of those
Wow.
things that I couldn't believe, because it wasn't that I couldn't believe it. It's different when you see it happening to someone and then it actually
Right.
happens to you.
Right.
And then you really feel like, for all the years that I've been doing this, we finally got to a point to where we see this in real time.
C style. Right. Understand you as the owner and operator of LC3 Entertainment. What is that? The future and contact information.
Well, the future of LC3 Entertainment is pretty much the way it's always been, in a sense of when I got into the business, one of the things that I saw that the business was lacking from Kansas City's version, particularly when we went out to the we went out to the convention, is I realized that it was a business and people were not just necessarily saying, okay, I'm going to DJ until I can't stand up anymore. These
Right.
cats was actually, and not even just guys, there was women that was like, I'm gonna form a company. And so when I looked at that, I was like, okay, I don't want to be the coldest DJ. I want to
Right.
have the coldest DJ entertainment company, and not just a DJ company, which of course working with you made me really understand the diversity of this game, because that's when the green screen photo booth came in. You was already rocking the videos. So in my mind, I was like, okay, how can we go back, formulate a company, and put as many DJs together? And to be quite honest with you, I really didn't even want DJs. I just wanted people that had the same vibe that we had, that loved music, and maybe if they had the experience, that was cool. But I wanted to train them based on what we had learned out at the conference. And then after that, man, I've seen a lot of careers just take off. And
Right.
that's what the ultimate dream was. So the future of LC3 now, and not just because of COVID-19 thing that we've been dealing with, we're
Right.
looking at virtual services, we're looking at voiceovers. I've been really thinking about doing those types of things, because now what COVID did for me was help me remember what we had already learned at the convention. 'Cause they was talking about this 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
So that's what the future looks like. I was talking to my grandson today, which is kind of funny. I look back on that and here, I'm looking at him. I made him some little t-shirts, and he's the future DJ, Quincy, DJ
Right.
Q. My granddaughters, they done been out and helped you with the photo booth.
Right. That is true. It's,
So,
it's definitely been a family affair.
absolutely.
That's one shout I do want to give to LC3 Entertainment. I've appreciated all the years that we've been able to work together and the many things that we've done. Party Pup.
Oh, yeah, man.
The Party Pup Shuffle, swim parties, and everything else that goes along with the cartoon cast, and
Oh, yeah.
just everything that goes along with that. So with that, if people want to get in contact with you, as a matter of fact, too, I wanted to hit on something else. You mentioned Florida and Kansas City, man. What's going on? Did you clone yourself or something, man? What's going on with that?
The thing with Kansas City and Tampa, or Florida, maybe you would say, was we had already, when you and I started out, we had already started doing areas that wasn't necessarily just Kansas City. We were DJing in the rural areas, Harrisonville, Liberty, Columbia, just areas that most people would be like, okay, you're from Kansas City, but
Right.
you're here in Iowa. I've been across the country, Omaha, places that's one of the other things about this business that I love, that I've met so many diverse people, so many cultures. I've DJed Bollywood music, Indian music, just you name it, man. And that's been the experience. Like, man, this is a great gig, man. Who gets to do this and get paid at it,
Right.
One of the things that happened was, of course, after my divorce, I decided, I want to change. I want to change of space.
Right.
And so we started looking at, funny things, we came down to Chance Encounter. My dad lives in Tampa, came down, and my wife, Leslie, was like, you know what? I think we'd love to live in Florida. And I was kind of apprehensive about it first, like, I don't know nobody in Florida except for my dad. But then I started thinking again that DJ V, that Vincent Irving thought process kicked in. You know, that thinking outside the box, man. I thought, man, you know what? Hold on, let me check out the Florida scene. So
Right.
I had been to Miami a couple of times. I had never been to Orlando, and that actually changed it too, because I went to Orlando with BPM. They had a convention,
Right.
and it was kind of like a meet and greet, basically. I ended
Right.
up meeting Ken Griffey Jr., who
Wow.
now wants to DJ.
Right.
Now, most people don't know Ken Griffey was born and raised on baseball.
Yeah.
And because his dad was a baseball player, he pretty much he'd have a choice. He had a bat
Right.
glove in his hand, and then, of course, he got drafted out. I don't even think that kid went to college. I think he went straight from high school right into the pros.
Right.
And so when I met him, it was interesting that we had already been onto this game, and they were just getting onto this game. And when I met him at the age of 50, this is how old Ken Griffey was at the time I met him, which is 2
Right.
years ago. He's talking about, yeah, man, the only reason why I never DJ'd is because I was told what to do. And
Right.
so that was my future. And I was kind of like, man. So when I saw that, I instantly said, you know, there's a market here. But of course, I'd never actually DJ'd in Florida, so I didn't quite know that yet. And so then once I got here, man, it was like, okay, I love the weather, I love the atmosphere. And then, of course, with you back in KC and my son-in-law, Rico doing his thing, and my daughter, Tashi, it was a perfect fit, man. It was beautiful.
Right.
I still booking gigs from Kansas City. I still know plenty of customers. He's got a customer base. And let me take this time to say this. I want to thank all, and when I say all, I'm talking about all of our customers in Kansas City and Missouri. You guys have helped make LC3 what it is today. We've had a very loyal customer base because we have definitely took care of business. We've had some times when things didn't go too great, but
Right.
because we had a work ethic and we had a responsibility to make things right, we always have made things right. I like working with the young people. What's the name of the place that we work with?
The Arts Tech.
Arts
KC
Tech,
Nova
man.
program.
Oh man, beautiful program, man. Met a
Mike
lot of young
Toombs,
people.
shout out to Mike Toombs.
Shout out to Mike Toombs, man.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what really was the pivoting point for LC3 here in Florida.
Beautiful, beautiful. So with that, so many things have been done. How can people get in contact with Lloyd Cooper or LC3 Entertainment?
Well, my backdrop says it all. LC3 Entertainment. You can hit us at 833 DJ for hire, or you
Beautiful.
can hit us up on the web at lc3-ent.com.
True that.
And LC3, we are actually on Instagram as well. You can hit us up on Facebook. And that 833 DJ for hire translates into 833-345-4473.
Marvelous, marvelous. Well, DJs and Entertainment, you has officially documented DJ C Style. We appreciate your time. We appreciate everything you've done. And of course, personally, DJ V, big shout out to you. Definitely have seen some very wide range things because of my involvement with LC3 Entertainment, and look to the future for even more.
Absolutely. Thank you, my brother. I really do appreciate the interview. And hey, in case y'all don't know, this is the place to be, man. DJs and Entertainment. Hey,
That is true.
Hit the subscribe button right now. Hit it.
Yep.
Like it.